Four indeed, and will the four signal a rise all the way to the top for Mongro, Mitro, and Tayson? They had 3 victory royales last week. They have 3 so far this week. But Sancho, it's all about the battle of the bubble when it comes down to this last game. Well, the top is 18 points clear of Kezix, Forziar, and Nate. Match number 12 in Europe, week number 2, is going to come down. The line is 92 points right now, and it's held by Snagged, Heatsy, and Steelix as we hop on board with our match 11 winners, our match 9 winners, our match 10 second place, and currently third place team, Mongro, Mitro, and Tayson.
I like to go back to what you said there about the battle of the bubble. You know, will that pressure turn these rocks that are really so close into diamonds, or will they crumble and fall? And so, you know, this is a squad right here that is shining really bright. The brightest diamond in the sky, the Evangeline, so to speak. So Mongro, Mitro, and Tayson are looking really solid right now. I mean, what does this Twitter mean? Like, what can you do with the uncontested Stark Industries? And we're showing what people can do with Mongro, Mitro, and Tayson getting so many elims. I mean, and placement points. Let me just look at they only finished the lowest 16th out of the 5 games, only first and second beyond that. Like, what an unbelievable run there, Sundown.
Right now, hopping on board here, Forziar, Kezix, and Nate, uncontested over at Sweaty Sands. Generally aren't going to see a ton of early action coming out from them. They make sure they get their tags forcibly on rotation, but you can see just right away trying to maximize the efficiency out of their shields. Kezix already up to 100. Forziar holding that slurpfish in case he can find a big pot on this route. And the real key is, again, without a victory royale to their names, the difference being 82 eliminations out of this trio. The next closest is that third place trio of Mitro, Mongro, and Tayson. They're sitting on 64 and have the additional wins to back them up, but I mean, they're still giving up 27 points to the victors.
Yeah, and their placement is really high, and they're just kind of holding down this West Coast so strong. And anybody that's rotating in from that Fort Frump something out there? I always call it just Castle, but that landmark right there, whoever lands out there will have to deal with Nate. I think these are really great gatekeepers, and they're capitalized on that in their early engagements. The EU already has been shown to be one of the most aggressive regions so far in the FNCS trios, and so they're coming out full strength, and then they catch all these people doing the scavenger routes that you mentioned on the West Coast. They're catching the people out in Coral Castle who may not have some of the power weapons and putting them in that lobby feed. Now, taking a look at the format again, 25 points for Victory Royale. Second place gets 20. Third place gets 16. Fourth through 17 get 1 point, and each limb is 1 point. And already in these 2-day format, Kezix squad has got 82 points just for elims. But to train hard, the battle of the bubble is on here, Sundown. And like they said here at the analyst desk, this trio was just on that edge, coming in 16th place. This will be a bad fight for them to go down on, as already they lose one. Sundown, this looking super bad at the moment, but Legendary gets taken down as Skite is trying to hold on for the fight for qualification.
It might be looking super bad, but right now, Skite looking super good and trying to clutch it up. The question is, will his ID in the veteran be enough to get him through? Wants to be at that party at the end. That is the Heat and the ultimate party, but right now, Rajasser's trio is in the way. They're the ones playing the blocker. They're the ones getting up to all of the shenanigans to keep him out, and that's going to be it. Skite gets wrapped up in the battle of the bubble, bursts for the Train 8's trio. Say goodbye to the French squad as they go back to the lobby, and they'll have to think about next week.
Man, that is the 2019 taking out a bubble. The bubble gets bursted. It was like a McLovin ending right there for them, but Remix, Sean, and Squint have been kind of pestering the people out here in the Holly Hedges, and this is one of those things I was kind of pointing out here. This is another trio that kind of runs into 4ZR. So yes, they may win this fight here. They may win their engagements, but as they get closer and closer to that safe zone, they're going to run into that 4ZR and that gatekeep right there. And you could come out feeling like, all right, I'm feeling good. I'm going to that next one. But all of a sudden you run into that buzzsaw of 4ZR and you get converted into leaderboard points.
Yeah, and that's the one thing they do really well is they're catching people as they rotate out. You can see Kami making sure he's fueling up the truck. That's also something we haven't necessarily talked about as much, is how valuable the cars have become in rotating, and the players actually maximizing their routes based around where those gas cans and where the gas stations are in order to make sure they can chain them together and properly rotate. So it's nice a little bit. I always enjoy seeing kind of the different strategies that come in with the seasons and how players min-max. And you also see teams opting to go for this truck because, one, it's a little bit easier to fire out the back, and also you can have the 3 people in it as opposed to the cars coming through. But now, again, rotating through the gas station. And this is one of my favorite spots on the map in particular because it's such an easy access for metal. All of the tables and the chairs in the dining area inside, all metal, and it gives you about, I think it's 3 or 4 per swing, which is pretty solid in terms of metal transition. In addition, you have the entire kitchen in there, which has metal and a slurp jug.
Also, you got those rocks along the riverbed right there to kind of capitalize on that. And if you need to make a rotation, you could swim on downstream. The variety of ways to rotate are available here in this Chapter 2, Season 4. We've seen the return of rifts be a big factor. We're seeing the car. I just love vehicle play as well. I have to kind of point out in DreamHack, when Mars OW was able to net himself $5,000 by going into a stranded taxi and riding out the crazy push from Booga. And NA East will come on very soon. You just hang on tight as we're here wrapping up day 2 of the EU region. And this is the 12 games so far that they've been going through. The 12th one. So you know in the marathon it's on. The exhaustion is on. You might be running on fumes. But we've been talking about trains and whatnot. A lot of these players needing that premium steam to get themselves across that finish line. Top 15 advance. This one right here is on top of the pack.
You make sure they get that 4-door sedan so they can have the passenger safe in the back. See him getting out the window, not executing on a drive-by, but instead a nice little internal healing going on there, chucking the bandage cannon inside the moving vehicle. Normally we say, please keep your hands and feet inside the ride, but in that circumstance, it's a little safer to poke your head out the window. So now we see an ambush opportunity coming through. It's a Siberia Jake, Safik, and Irazumi right on the back here. Not exactly sure which team they're ambushing up on, but they're going to look. It's going to call it 3, 2, 1. Nope, shots not coming out quite yet because they know this team has priority on the zone. So if they don't get a knock, they're in such a weird position.
It's like right here, like hold, and never mind. The call for holding is over, and here it is. Now it's all of a sudden, ooh, and a misplay with the shockwave right there. But maybe that kind of worked out. That gives Safik a different angle to create the pressure at the moment as Siberia Jake is pushing on in, and right behind him is Rezumi. Rezumi right now, I wonder what this trio is. We have been seeing Lechi and Savage kind of hang out here in the outskirts here of Doom's domain. Let's take a look right now as the zone is kind of pushing in very close. So we're going to have about 2 minutes here of fighting, and this is an opportunity to get a good, clean fight. There's no one else looking in as Safik, Cyber Jake are on the bubble. We already saw one bubble burst, and it's going to be very important for this trio to stay up, and they're going to get the beams, get the tags. No white tags here, so this fight is going to be kind of stretched out a bit. Oh, the box breaker of it, yes. McKay goes down, so it's not the dangerous trio of Benji, but Safik with the nice box breaker play there, Sundown.
Yeah, really good job. He knew the second he had those 3 tags on him in the air, the player only had 1 shield left, lined it up. He still has 5 more crash pads. I thought he was going to go in on the top. Instead, opting to now regroup. What they need to do is find where this other player is, get some damage onto him as they get the AR trades, and then isolate him out. However, keeping an eye on the top left, Mongrel getting a knock there on the ref's guard. That's our team in 3rd place, and they're going to need a whole bunch of eliminations and that victory royale if they want to close the gap. Again, 27 points behind Kezix, 4ZR, and Nate right now for the #1 spot. They want to try and deny that back-to-back. But speaking of denying and bubbles bursting, Siberia Jake gets a little big for his britches, oversteps. They will get the downs there. However, Safik coming in, cleaning up, saying the bubble won't pop yet. He put a little bit more soap on that one, is able to put a curveball in. And Siberia Jake, they'll get him up. Need to utilize some white heals and some shields, but he should be in an okay spot.
What a dangerous engagement, a risky one, in fact. They're in 13th place with 104 points going into this final game 12. So it's so risky. We've been seeing so much heartbreak happen already. Train Hard's trio felt the heartbreak out there at Panthers Prowl. But Curiosity, Storming Right, Rotary, another team that's literally on the outside looking in, going into 17th place here. And they already went through the grueling week 1, and now they're on the cusp of qualifying, and they don't want to go through it again. They want to have those good vibes and feelings knowing that they made it through so they could use next weekend's ability as Boyer gets taken out. And Boyer, that's the end of that run. So as more stories are concluding here in this final Game 12, Sundown.
Yeah, and Boyer, they're currently sitting in 20th, very much on the outside looking in. I actually don't think it would have been possible without like a 15-plus elimination game. Not something we've really seen coming out so far in the European region. But Kiriachi, Rotary, and Stormy Right just going to continue on this outside rotation, try and prioritize the white heels as they are moving through the zone. You can see there is a team a little bit off to their left there. They're going to opt to use the shockwave to create a little bit more distance. I'm sure they probably saw them there as we hop on board with the French trio, Pickus, Erkun of Homino, and then YZip, who had a decent performance last week, so they're one of the trios who's able to qualify through both times, so showing levels of consistency, but haven't necessarily been able to really push forward in this round 3, in this final round. They've had kind of spots where they've been close, but not really that defining moment where you're like, wow, this team can really play.
Yeah, they were finished second place in that previous game right there. They were in the fight at the very end. And at the early on, I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to say it right now. The storm is here at Stark Industries, and you're seeing a lot of trios making their way up it. And so now that's going to be a great advantage for the Miros, for the team at Craigie Cliffs. I mean, so many advantages are kind of breaking down, Sundown.
They're breaking down, but there's a team on the side, and what YZip was actually looking to do, he pulled the harpoon out because he knows that his teammate could have potentially gone down there, and he wants to get, they're getting as many of the heals as they can onto YZip. Him holding the harpoon means he can actually harpoon people closer to him, but now they're getting jumped on by the other team who is down bad in the storm. It's Kiriachi, Stormy Right, and Rotary recognizing, hey, they can take this advantage right now. Rotary's HP is ticking. He needs to find a one-shot if it's going to be anything. He finds a huge one on the YZip, but it had to be a one-shot. He couldn't afford to need a follow-up. Erkun gonna get the conversion over there, which is some more much-needed HP. However, Pickus not finding the siphon there is going to get ticked down. YZip is actually going to opt to pop the medkit. So Kiriachi and Stormy Right, if they're paying attention, nope. I was about to say they should know. Instead, they're just going to bounce their shockwave out saying, nope, this is a chance for an ambush. Not going to happen.
Man, that was a big yikes moment because Kiriachi, Rotary, Stormy Right are 17th place going into this, and I think they recognize this is not worth a fight right there. I mean, they kind of went for it. The gamble was there, and the cost a teammate. So now they're going to have to go on as a duos, as they're going to have to clutch on in. And we already saw it's going to be a north safe zone, as you're seeing YZip, who's going to make this rotation here, is going to pan on out. I don't think that the Rift is going to be there to bail him out, but they're going to have to use all those old builds. Now we're going to the flip side. A little bit clearer picture right here. The purple haze is gone, but Keswick's 4ZR is kind of rifting on top of this entire lobby and leaderboard, wailing as loud as possible and letting everybody know that they have to shred everybody because they are on top and they are doing it with no kind of sweat, man. It's making it look easy.
And one of the things that we noted last game in particular is they weren't playing for aggression. They weren't playing to find elims anymore. They know that if they just hold on, they get their late game placements, they're going to be able to steal it away. As you see, Erkun, who is the one rotating the storm, he's going to go down there as a part of that trio. But look at what they have. So the key is they have the bandage cannon over on 4ZR. Keswick is sitting on all of their floppers as well, and they're prioritizing these white heels and getting the fishing spots on this side. What that means is when you get in these late game moving circles, you have more options. You're able to sit back in the storm, pop these white heels between the floppers and the bandage cannon, and then you can find a route around the side where, yes, you aren't getting eliminations and you aren't fighting people, but you're trickling in those points. And when you already have an 18-point lead, you don't need that miraculous 15 elimination victory route 40-point win. You just need a couple points here and there.
Yeah, and I have to point this out as well, is the EU has to have the sixth sense when it comes to Storm Surge. They have all those early engagements, those gatekeeping allows them to do this passive routes, these long-winded rotations that allow them to take their time to get full strength and get even stronger going into in-game. This is game 6 of 6 of day 2 here. This is the FNCS Trios. Chapter 2, Season 4, Week 2 of Qualifiers, Round 3. And you're seeing Flick, Thomas, and Nas on the bottom side of this. You're taking a look up here as a great performance from Keek and Kubix are getting themselves in that top 15. Top 15 guaranteed into the heats. And that is when things are going to get interesting. And as well, the Wild Card Wednesday is looming in the distant sundown. It's going to be a great month of FNCS competitive action.
And right now, we actually have a battle for the high ground in the priority position. Raison and his trio are a part of that. You can see a number of shockwaves going off, panning around the side there. We know that 4ZR and Co. are still rotating up. You can see Mongo, Micho, and Tayson. So actually, our second and third teams are boxed up directly on top of each other. I think they're just receiving fire from either side. A little bit of harassment coming down. Mongo sitting on an elim, Tayson sitting on an elim, trying to pressure forward, and if they get this, that's actually monstrous because they've effectively eliminated any of their other competition, and they'll be able to at least hop them with a couple more placement points. You can see 19 trios left, 54 players remaining. Storm Surge probably won't come into a factor if 4 more end up dropping, but right now it's all about, and boom, look at that, Teak going down, good conversion happening there, an additional point ticking over, and I mean, they're so close to being in contention range if they can hold this high ground one more time.
And the big time factor, you're seeing how important high ground here is that Stark Industry has the most occupants of the lobby. As you're seeing, the safe zone has 0 people, but our current first place is sitting right there. They are gambling so hard that zone won't go far. Mongrel, all they have to do is build like a mini balcony out there, and they're safe and they're in. As you're seeing, they are towing the line of Storm Surge, so they know the 6th sense is going in, so they're going to take as many pot shot opportunities. They are currently 24, and you said as a factor, Storm Surge is over. That was not able, they were so close to that, but you're seeing this, how close they're towing the line, Sundown.
And they're right up to the line. As you see, Raison gets wakey. But the key thing is now, top 17 placement points are ticking over. They had an 18-point lead, but 0 eliminations. They grab Matzo, toss him back. This is so they can get the shakedown and guarantee the damage. But more importantly, because of that lead, now that you're into placements and ticking those off, you're able to, in your head, start to do the math a little bit, right? So third, second, and first pushing all the way up is an additional 11 points. So that means if Mongrel and Co. end up winning the game, they need at least 15 eliminations right now to close the gap, as long as Kezex and Co. can make it into the top 4, which we've been seeing time and time again. That means the pressure is on. If they're really trying to go for the W, they need to be looking for some more of these eliminations, or to go find 4ZR, Nate, and Kezex and eliminate them. They've been playing the safe side of zone the entire time, and right now, if you look in the bottom right, the zone has pulled completely away from them. So this is the best opportunity possible for Mongo, Micho, and Tayson to capitalize, as we're going to hop on board with Hen, Siptos, and Patrick. They used the crash pad, but not quite finding the player they were looking for. It seems like they were trying to find an aggressive little peek because they have next to no builds left.
Next to no builds, but maybe they find some right here. It's gonna be able to vulture this one right now. Is Hen is going all in here to find these kind of builds opportunities, but you're seeing the zone is pushing off of Stark Industry, so the pressure is off a lot of the IGLs, the in-game leaders. But here are the leaders of the leaderboard at the moment, sitting pretty with a clean rotation, and nobody is looking their way, and they're gonna have an opportunity to kind of make their way slowly into the engagements, make their way slowly higher and higher. But I just feel that this team is on all cylinders. It doesn't matter where they fight, low, mid, high. Granted, they have not been fighting high because it has been the Mongrel show up at height alongside with Tayson and Mitro. So it's gonna be so interesting. How does 4ZR do it this time? How can they maintain their dominant places? And right now it has to be the favorites, just based on leaderboard standings, to win the FNCS Trios, and they break down Mongrel. Oh my, they put some big time beams and chop it on down with the edge of their hand. The big time plays there from 4ZR.
And we talked about how they're doing everything right. The observers nailed it when they showed the rotation down on the low ground, because the zone pulling back on the other side meant nobody else was over there. They got a free rotation towards the side, tarp along the front, which they've been doing the entire time, and then looking back, shot down deep into the zone to find the connection, and was able to knock out Mongrel right before the rotation came out, messing up the entirety of that high ground. Likely we're not going to see it. It's been 6 games today, Only 4 of them have had Mitro, Mongrel, and Tayson up on the high ground, but in a key game number 6, when everything was on the line and they needed to do something to secure that team and push them away, they found the shots into the zone. The rotation coming out right now, you can see ForZR, Nate, and Kezix hip to hip on the front end. 16 trios remaining, but right now it's all about those placement points that are ticking over. They won week 1. Can they win week 2? They are well on their way right now.
The finishing touches are happening here in Game 12 in this masterpiece that's being painted right in front of us by ForZR and Nate and Kezix, showing exactly how a trio should function, giving us the textbook for other people to kind of follow suit as Putra cleans up the mess right there and gets Mitro. So that is the end for that historic trio right now, but we're watching history unfolding right in front of us. A back-to-back first place finish in qualifiers. It's going to be a huge, as another elim gets right there on hardfind. Nate, ForZR, what are you eating for breakfast? Because I need to have some, because they are cooking it up and they're getting it done here, Sundown.
And not only are they winning these individual fights, they're finding the picks, they're finding the rotation, opens up the floor, and it looks back into the storm. 1 down, 2 down, and it's another team who is pressing into the top 10. That's Hen, Deceptos going, or Patrick and Deceptos going down, all going to be on the back of the young English Lord Hen again. But again, the story is about this French trio and where they operate. We've seen them play high ground, we've seen them play low ground, we've seen them rotate smart, and there's a reason that they're separated at the top. Nate picks up Hen, ends that trio, and on top of all of that, these are impact eliminations against qualified teams that are ticking over full points. ForZR will finally get taken down. What can Nate and Kezix do hip to hip as 20 players remain, 12 trios, and they're almost on a victory lap at this point?
What an unbelievable victory lap that it is. Even though Kezix and Nate are by themselves, a strong performance. You cannot, oh my goodness, they're getting bopped right there, but he does have some floppers. He has some shockwaves. I know he's holding on to it, so he could go ahead and make a play for height. He's going to use one right here to break it away, to get a moment to breathe, and Kezix gets cracked in the back, and this is where the trio that's been fighting hip to hip get kind of disjointed just a bit, but still, Nate is still up, Sundown, and he's going to rack up all those placements. We're going to take a look at the overview of entirely how everything is breaking down. Safik and Razumi are sitting at high, and that's going to be a big opportunity for them to solidify themselves in the top 15. I'm looking for any other bubble teams. Kiko, yes, Kiko on the bottom is a bubble team, and he has to clutch right now. Kiko is racking up points. I think Kiko is the only bubble team besides the Wakey and Safik and Razumi.
And you can see right now Nate in the top right, and this is what they've done so incredibly well, is when they do get down there, they're able to just outlast, not find other people. Nate, unfortunately, out of white heels, is going to be looking for a pick, and he finds one right there. That's huge, and that's 2 points because it takes him into the top 5, gets a couple of key builds as well, and finds the space. Kiko now in your bottom right. The winner, back to back, is in your top right. That's Nate as he gets another down. Kiko's on the bubble in your bottom right. Keep an eye on the wide as you have Razumi and Safik, another team who is trying to push forward and make it to the top 15. Finally now, you see Kiko, 3 eliminations, only 3 builds left, but Old Man Mountain comes to claim its toll, and a shockwave knocks him down, but it knocks him behind Wakey, and it gets the conversion, finally knocks it out. But will those 2 points be enough? Razumi and Safik are going to take their own victory lap as everyone else is fighting on the bottom, but a huge pickup from Snappy to get 2 extra points at the end, but that top 15 is going to be so close. There's no doubt who's at the top, but the question is, who cements their name into Heat, Sancho?
Man, already names are being cemented in some unbelievable play, some unbelievable performance as we're watching the paint dry from this masterpiece ending 12-game set.